Hello and welcome to Storytelling. I wish there had been a guidebook of sorts to tell me what to do in the event that my marriage didn't work out when I got married. My name is Chris, and I was raised with the belief that a man should put his family's needs first after getting married. I am aware that this has somewhat changed now that I see a lot more working couples or households where the woman is the primary provider. I was the one with a solid career and a promising future at the company I work for when Stacy and I got married. Now, this was a necessary part of my job. Stacy didn't seem to mind that I had to work some late nights, weekends, or even go on a few business trips. She worked during our first few years of marriage, but after our son Jason was born, she gave up her job to become a stay-at-home mother. Our lovely home is situated in a well-kept neighborhood with excellent schools and friendly neighbors. Aside from my work schedule, everything was great at the time. I was able to provide for my growing family, my wonderful wife, and myself through a fulfilling career. The second child was when the trouble started. You see, the doctor informed me that I had a low sperm count because we were having trouble conceiving Jason. We were told that all it took was a little more effort to have children. I didn't mind because my wife and I enjoyed having sex and it was very healthy. Well, Michelle arrived 3 years after Jason's birth. It came as a bit of an unexpected, but pleasant, surprise. We made the decision not to have any more children after she was born because, as Stacy put it, raising them required full-time attention. Like any other couple, we did have disagreements and problems over time, but we were always able to work things out and find a solution. Then there was a time when Stacy visited a specialist because she was having some problems with women. We couldn't have sex for a while, but as it turned out, it wasn't anything serious. Despite my repeated questions, she would never provide me with the specifics of the issue, only that I shouldn't be concerned. In retrospect, perhaps I ought to have been wary back then. I continue to put in a lot of overtime at work, but it's beginning to pay off because I get promoted roughly every 3 to 4 years. If things continue this way, in a year or two I'll be my company's director of manufacturing, and I anticipate working fewer hours so that I can spend more time with my family. While Michelle is just about to graduate, Jason, who just turned 17, is less than a year away from earning his high school diploma. They are both naturally gifted athletes. I like to think I'm the source of that. Jason excels on the baseball team at his school, and Michelle plays softball in addition to soccer. Both of them are popular and excellent students with lots of friends. Jason has been in relationships before, and Michelle is about to enter the dating scene. God be with me. Given that Jason will soon be starting college and Michelle is old enough to live independently, Stacy had been making suggestions that she would like to return to work. My wife did have a point, so this didn't seem like a bad idea, so I said it would be okay as long as it didn't conflict with our family schedule. She was able to secure a part-time position as a sales representative for a large department store at the mall. She could also benefit from the employee discount as a result of this. She had only been working for a few months when I was supposed to have an all-day meeting with one of our suppliers, but she cancelled at the last minute. My wife works at a mall, so I thought it would be a good idea to surprise her by dropping by and having a long lunch. I headed straight to the jewelry department since I knew she worked there. When I arrived, I glanced around, thinking she might stop by to help me find my wife something nice, but she was nowhere to be seen. "Is Stacy working today?" I asked the young woman behind the counter when she inquired if I needed any assistance. She said with a smile, "Oh no, she is not scheduled to be in until tomorrow. As soon as possible, I need to start making hotel reservations and so on." "When do you think you can ask her?" I reached for my cell phone. "I'll call her now, since she is still at home and doesn't have to be at work until 8 a.m., she replied. I listened to his end of the conversation as he made the call and hung up. She said she can fax over her schedule for the month later this morning. "How is that?" he grinned. "Perfect, just perfect." "Thanks, Sam, and thank your lovely wife for me too." After receiving my wife's work schedule, which I had about an hour later, I saw that she had only been working 10 or 12 hours a week. She told me she worked 18 to 25 hours a week. What made her lie? A shiver went down my spine as I considered the reasons. I had meetings all day, so I didn't have time to think about what was going on with my wife. I found it difficult to concentrate on my work. On numerous occasions, I caught myself staring into space in an attempt to figure out what my wife was up to. I went to my office and shut the door after the final meeting of the day. I looked over my wife's schedule, making a spreadsheet that I downloaded onto my iPhone. When she wasn't at work, what was she doing? I had to know, so I searched online for a method to follow my wife's whereabouts. Before long, I possessed a list of supplies that would work as well as a few additional items that might be useful. I bought and reloaded a prepaid debit card on the way home because I didn't want these things to appear on our bank or credit card statements. I ordered everything I would need the next day and had it shipped to the office. They would take several days to arrive, so I needed to prepare a strategy for the worst-case scenario. I sat at my computer and made a list of reasons why my wife might have been telling me false things about her work schedule. Adultery ranked highest on the list. Our marriage was seriously in trouble if that turned out to be the case. Even so, I found it difficult to accept that she would cheat on me. As far as I was concerned, our marriage was going well. We still made love 2 or 3 times a week, but the sex had tapered off over time. Well, so it might have been a little predictable or dull, but did that really give her an excuse to cheat? The things I had ordered arrived at work by the next week. It was just a matter of placing them now. I had placed an order for a tracking device for her car so I could monitor her whereabouts using my iPad or iPhone. In addition, I got a few voice-activated voice recorders, multiple spy cameras for our bedroom, and a decent digital camera with a strong zoom. It made me feel sick to think that this was the state of our marriage after looking at all these things. Here I was going to spy on my wife to find out if she was having an affair. God, I really hoped that I was mistaken, but I was so unsure of myself that I had to be certain. I got up a little earlier than usual the following morning and put the tracking device and voice recorder in my wife's car. Once that was finished, I left for work and looked over her schedule to see when she would be leaving the house for work. Even though I knew she wasn't working today, I still gave her a call to find out if she was. I grabbed my work phone and dialed quickly. I just got into work but forgot to ask you if you were working today. She was lying again. Oh, yes, I am, but I'll be home before you, she said. It was difficult for me to say that last sentence. Okay, just checking. Hope you have a good day at work. Love you. I could track her wherever she went thanks to the tracking device in her car. Then, when I got home, I could see if she was bringing this person into our bed by setting up the spy cameras and the other voice recorders. I was more enraged by the thought than I had ever been. She was going to have to pay for her betrayal of our kids and me. I looked at my iPad in the morning to see if she had left the house. Not until about 10 in the morning. That I noticed she was moving. I decided that this was a good time to arrange the remaining items. I informed my administrative assistant that I would return after lunch and that I needed to spend a few hours at home. Before long, I was arranging the gadgets in our bedroom to get the best view while avoiding detection. After testing and setting everything up, I made the decision to find Stacy. I noticed she was at the mall when I looked at my iPod. Perhaps she had to report to work today. I thought I would drop by and give her another surprise. When I arrived at the mall parking lot, her car was parked far in the rear, far from the shop where she works. That struck me as odd. I took a few photos with the new digital camera that I had out. I went straight to the jewelry department after finding a spot near the store. I recognized the young woman who had waited on me the previous time when I arrived. Hello, I was wondering if Stacy is working today? I'm sorry, sir, but she quit last week. She said it was interfering with her family life. Is there anything I can do for you? I laughed. I was so furious that I said, no thank you. I would have slapped Stacy at that very moment if she had been anywhere close to me. How could she deceive me with such ease? I realize now that this has been happening for some time. But with whom and for how long? I was going to investigate and hold her and her partner accountable. I made the choice not to return to work. I found a place in the parking lot where I could keep an eye on her car without drawing her attention. I was able to watch from a safe distance and, if needed, record what would happen when she did, in fact, return to her car thanks to the zoom feature on my camera. It was going on 2 o'clock. When her car was parked next to one, I observed her exiting through the passenger side. She leaned down, grinned, and said something. That was all it took for my blood to boil. I snapped multiple photos of her and the vehicle she exited. The driver's face was hidden from me. Dealer plates were on the car, and I did notice that. It should not be too difficult to locate that car as there are only a few car dealers in the area. She had probably driven off by now, probably to her house. As I sat there, my thoughts turned to what I had just seen. To find out if I could see the car pulling out of the parking lot, I made the decision to drive by a couple of those dealerships. I took a few of the car dealerships in my direction. I soon saw the flags and signs indicating significant discounts or brand new models. My wife's companion was the object of my desire, not a brand new automobile. I visited multiple car lots, but I was unable to locate the vehicle I had earlier seen. I didn't want to let my lover know that I was leaving my car. Then it dawned on me. I still hadn't really seen anything to indicate that they were in a relationship. I had to get them while they were at it. However, how? I had to keep my composure because I was getting ready for a 3-day business trip to a customer the following week, so this problem would have to wait. When I got home at my usual time, everything seemed normal. I chose to lie once more, reminding my wife about the trip. Sorry, hun, but they decided to extend our stay for the whole week. I should be back by Saturday afternoon. I hope that won't be a problem for you. No, that ought to be all right, she grinned. All I knew was that she was going to spend time with her partner. I hoped that by catching them in the act, I could permanently stop it. I went to bed and tried to sleep as my brain worked through the issue. I ignored that issue and concentrated on my work when I got to work the following morning. The week flew by. My departure was scheduled for Sunday afternoon. I asked my son if he could take me to the airport by car. I could sense that he had a thought. What's up, slugger? You seem awfully quiet. Is something bothering you? I said to myself as I was driving. He gave a throat clearing. I don't know how to tell you this, but I thought you needed to know. Mom is having, well, she is having. He needed help spreading the word, so I gave it to him. She is having an affair? He looked at me with a mixture of surprise and sadness. Yes, I know. Is that what you wanted to tell me? Are you going to divorce her? I don't know yet. How did you find out she was seeing someone else? A few weeks ago, my baseball practice was cancelled due to rain, and I came home a few hours early. It was coming down pretty hard, so when I got home, they didn't hear me come in the house, but I heard them. I went up to your bedroom and saw the two of them. I was so shocked, I didn't know what to do, so I went to a friend's house and came back a few hours later. He was gone, and it looked like Mom had taken a shower. As he told me, I noticed the tears in his eyes. God, at that moment, I wanted to kill her. He shook his head, asking, Does Michelle know? No, I don't think so, and I'm sure as hell not going to tell her. You know her and her temper. Good, because I'm hoping I can save our marriage and our family. Just try and act normal around your mother and sister, and if you need to talk, just call me, okay? After we arrived at the airport, I gave my son a hug. With that, I located my colleagues, we checked in, and shortly after that, we boarded our flight. Be strong, okay, and look after Michelle. Call me if you feel the need to talk. We successfully closed a sizable deal with a new client during the trip. Although it took several days of meetings and discussions to sign the agreement, it was advantageous to both of us. We were out celebrating with a late lunch on the final day when I received a panicked call from Jason. Dad, you have to go home right now, he said in a terrified tone. I was in a panic, wondering, what's wrong? What happened now? It's Michelle. She found out about Mom's affair, and, well, it wasn't pretty. You better get home. Just get home soon, please. He refused to answer my questions. Is she hurt? What happened? I checked out of the hotel after apologizing and citing a family emergency. I took the next flight home once I got to the airport. Although the flight was only 2 hours long, it seemed like a lifetime. Jason was there to greet me as soon as I touched down. Jason gave me a pretty much the same look as I did, asking, "Okay, what the hell happened? How did Michelle find out about your mom's affair?" But she took matters into her own hands. Her softball practice had been cancelled, and she went home early. She found the two of them together in bed, like I did. The only difference is she took a baseball bat to his sorry ass. She what? I exclaimed, shocked. It seems from what Michelle told me before the police took her into custody, that they were in the heat of passionate lovemaking when she walked in on them. She was as shocked as I was, but also mad as hell about it. So she went back to her room, grabbed her softball bat, and began beating the crap out of this guy. Once she was satisfied with the damage she'd inflicted, she dialed 911 and said she caught a criminal attacking her mother and that they should send the cops and paramedics. I had just gotten home by then, and I could hear the poor bastard crying in pain upstairs. Once the cops arrived, they questioned Mom, Michelle, and this guy, Kevin. Michelle stuck to her story that since it wasn't her father screwing her mom, it had to be forced, so she took what she thought to be appropriate measures to stop him. Jason kept grinning all the time. "This isn't funny," I exclaimed as I began to giggle. Upon arriving home, I discovered Stacy seated on the couch, gazing. Reaching over, I put my arms around her. I was playing up the assault theme so she wouldn't think I knew the truth. "It's okay, baby, it's okay. We'll get through this. I know this has been very traumatic, but I'm sure with some consoling you'll be fine." Oh God, she shuddered, and started crying. I looked over at Jason. "Where is Michelle now?" "She is still at the police station." I had no idea what to do. I got up, took out my phone, and gave our family attorney a call. I informed him of what transpired. I inquired as to whether he could suggest a capable attorney in this case. He promised to meet me at the police station in an hour and said they had one in their company. Then, to keep Stacy from hearing, I pulled Jason aside to speak with him. "I don't want your mother to know that we know about her affair. As far as we're concerned, Michelle was going after a criminal, okay?" He chuckled. "Got it. You need to stay here and comfort her. I'm going to get Michelle and bring her home." While waiting for the lawyer at the police station, I spoke with the desk officer. He soon appeared, dressed in a suit and tie and looking very lawyerly. We then went ahead and freed Michelle. I was informed that Kevin intended to file an assault lawsuit against Michelle. I inquired as to whether my wife was filing an assault complaint against Kevin. They said no to me. I knew that she was in a difficult situation for me. Michelle might end up in jail if she didn't file charges because she would have to acknowledge the affair. Michelle might end up in jail even if she decided to file charges because Kevin would undoubtedly claim that they were having an affair. I was proud of Michelle, but I was also sad for her. I was both glad that she was attempting to shield her mother from a suspected attack and disappointed that she had to learn about the affair in this manner. I realized immediately that our marriage was over. After a few hours, Michelle was given her freedom and instructed to appear in court the following few days. As my daughter sobbed, I gave her a tight hug. She sobbed, "I'm sorry, Daddy, but I had to stop him." "It's okay, baby, you did the right thing, and I'm so proud of you. Can we go home now?" "You bet, sweetie, you bet." As soon as we got home, Jason greeted Michelle with a big embrace. He inquired, "How are you doing?" "Better now that I'm home." I surveyed the living area. "Where is your mother?" "She went to lie down," snarled Michelle. "When you divorce her, ask, can I live with you both?" Michelle caught Jason and my attention. "Oh, honey, who said I was going to divorce your mother?" Well, Jason and I both looked at her and said, I just figured since she has been cheating on you for over a year, you'd want to get a divorce. What? I heard them talking before I took batting practice on him. Oh, and I don't think he'll be having sex anytime soon, if ever again, she laughed. I couldn't help but laugh. I need to talk with your mother first, so hold off on the divorce talk. Why don't you guys get to bed? It's been a busy day for all of us. When I came upstairs, Stacy was sound asleep and lying face down on our bed. After getting dressed, I retired to the spare bedroom. I didn't think it would be worthwhile to wake her up to hear her version of events because it was late. Though it wasn't easy, sleep eventually came. I felt as though I had gotten up and gone downstairs to get some coffee when I woke up the following morning at roughly 10 a.m. I discovered Jason and Michelle conversing at the kitchen table. When they noticed me entering, they all stood up and embraced me. You look terrible, Dad. Are you okay? Jason asked, looking at me. Yeah, just tired. Is your mother up? I nodded. Not yet. What will happen now? Will I go to jail? I'd rather go to jail than have to live with her, Michelle spat. They both shook their heads. Michelle, you don't mean that. Look, you two, your mother loves you regardless of what she has done to our marriage. I'll talk with her and see what we can work out. I'm not holding out much hope. I wasn't optimistic. It was Stacy, standing in the doorway, all of a sudden. Please, just give me a chance, she pleaded. I don't want to lose you or my family. Can't we talk? Can't we try and work things out? I glared at her as I looked at the children. I gave Jason a couple of 20s, telling him that Stacy and I needed to talk, but not in front of the kids. They both nodded as they walked out, asking, why don't you and Michelle go see a movie, then go for some pizza afterwards, okay? They said, love you, Dad, but Stacy didn't hear anything, and after they left, she realized. Stacy fell to one of the chairs. They hate me. My own children hate me. Well, what did you expect? You were with another guy, and they found out. So, where do we go from here? I understand Kevin wants to press charges against Michelle. If that happens, I'll be sure all of this unpleasantness comes out in the press. You better have a talk with your ex-boyfriend. Oh, and if he doesn't agree, you tell him you'll file assault charges against him. Do you understand? She sighed and began to sob. What about us, Chris? What about our marriage? I'll be talking to a divorce lawyer next week. You can do the same. As far as our marriage is concerned, it ended years ago. I'll take full custody of the kids because Michelle will probably take a baseball bat to you while you sleep. Do you really want to live in fear of your own children? She sobbed, but they're my kids, and they love me. Not so much after what they found out about you and Kevin. This is going to be messy no matter how we handle it. I know I'm going to regret saying this, but it would be in your best interest to get a lawyer and see what your options are at this point. I'll try and be fair, but you hurt me and the kids, and that I cannot forgive so easily, I responded with firmness. She broke down once more. Chris, I don't want a divorce. I want my family back. Please help me. Why? You not only cheated on me, but you cheated on our family. The kids don't want to have anything to do with you. You really screwed up, Stacy, and I'm not sure I want to stay married to you. Please tell me what I need to do to keep our family together. I'm really sorry, she sobbed even more. A good start would be for the two of us to see Kevin and get him to drop the charges against Michelle. Then we need to talk about why you did this and see if this marriage is even worth saving. I'm not promising you anything. If you are willing to be open and honest, we may have a chance. All I was doing was telling her what she wanted to hear in order to have Michelle's charges dropped. I could not possibly continue to be married to someone who was unfaithful. There's no need for you to be there. I can speak with Kevin alone, she muttered. She nodded, her head bowed as if defeated. Oh no, we are doing this together. This involves our daughter, and as her father, I am going with you. Do you understand? Before long, Kevin and I were on our way to the hospital for a conversation. I was hoping for a nice exchange of words. Upon entering his room, I noticed that he had one arm in a cast, his knees bandaged, and both of his legs elevated by ropes, possibly as a result of attempting to block Michelle's blows. Though it would be 2 years before she obtained her driver's license, I secretly grinned and considered getting her a car for her next birthday. Kevin heard us enter. He appeared somewhat disoriented, with his eyes glazed over, possibly from the analgesics they administered. He said, coolly and as if he was intoxicated, "Hey, if it isn't the loving couple. Come on in and see what that did to me." With a tremor in her voice, Stacy said, "Please, Kevin, we just want to talk. It doesn't have to get nasty." I wasn't sure why she was nervous. Then it was revealed. "I told you to get an abortion 14 years ago, but no, you just had to have another child, even if it wasn't mine," Kevin yelled. I looked over at Stacy. What is he talking about? What did he mean that Michelle isn't mine? Her shaking was obvious now. Oh, he's just talking nonsense because of the drugs. Don't pay any attention to what he is saying, she said. Oh, really? Well, then I guess a DNA test will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that she is my daughter. Maybe I should get one done for Jason as well, just to be sure he is mine too. What do you think, dear? I was angry more than I had ever been. Crying, Stacy fled the room. I merely remained motionless. I turned back to face Kevin and gave him a direct look. Okay, this is what you're going to do. First, you drop the charges against Michelle. Second, you stay away from my family. As for Stacy, you can continue your affair, as she won't be my wife for much longer. You got that? The two of you can wallow in your guilt now. He broke down in tears. That tiny bit ensured I wouldn't be once more. Yes, I will give her a car for her upcoming birthday. Is she your daughter? I asked, and he nodded, unable to say anything. He nodded once more when I said, "So, you and my wife have been having this affair for the last 15 years now?" I would have killed her, and it was such a blow to my ego that I was relieved she wasn't in the room anymore. I sat down, staring blankly into space, perplexed as to how I could have been so blind. Then it dawned on me, the issues she had years prior but never gave me an explanation for. I had a very negative thought. Kevin looked at me and nodded. That medical problem she had a few years ago, was that another pregnancy that she had terminated? I asked. I just put my head in my hands and cried. I told her that if she didn't get an abortion, I'd tell you that neither Michelle nor the last one was yours. I thought to myself, that's stupid, stupid. I took 10 minutes or so to gather myself and leave Kevin's room. Sitting in the waiting area, Stacy's eyes were fixed on the window. She got up and followed me out to her car as soon as she saw me. We sat in silence in the car until Stacy said something. I know you must really hate me, but it's not what you think. It was just... I ended the conversation. She began crying once more, but this time I didn't care. If you say it was just sex, you'll end up in the next room to Kevin. When did you start this affair? When were you going to tell me about the abortion? When were you going to tell me Michelle isn't my daughter, she said. Okay, this is how it's going to play out, and if you don't agree to all of it, there will be a storm that will bury you alive. Are we clear? She gave a nod. First, our marriage is over, and you will move out of the house tonight. You are never, and I mean never, to set foot inside that house again. Second, I will get complete custody of the kids. You will get visitation rights, but only if the kids agree to it. If they don't want to see you again, then so be it. Third, if you ever say anything to Michelle about me not being her father, I will make your life a living hell. Your family, friends, and co-workers will know you had a child with lover boy in there and that you also had an abortion to try and keep it secret. Oh, wait, you quit your job to spend more time with Kevin. She was clutching her head trying to conceal the ugly truth. Stacy, I never want to see you again, and I don't want you near my children. Do you hear me? Are we clear on that? She broke down in tears. They're my children too. No, not anymore. You can visit them if they agree to it, but it's not likely. Now, when we get home, you need to pack up your crap and get out. She continued to weep. Where will I go? Call your parents, call a friend, see if you can stay at Kevin's place, get a tent and camp in the park for all I care. You can go to hell. We took a car back to my home. After I pulled into the driveway, we sat there silently for a while. At last, I broke the quiet. Why, Stacy? Was it not enough for you, the family we started, the nice home? Was it the sex? She was simply observing. It meant nothing to me. He was great at sex, and then he began to blackmail me. When Michelle was born, I do love you. Can we at least try? And I yelled, 15 years, Stacy. You cheated on me for 15 years, and you want to work it out. Get your stuff out of my house now. I jumped out of the vehicle and entered the residence. She entered a few minutes later and started packing. After 60 minutes, she had packed her bags and piled her belongings into multiple cardboard boxes. She loaded her car and left through the front door. She then returned inside. I'll need to come back to get the rest of it. I'll be staying at my parents'. Can I call you and arrange a time to pick it up? I smiled. She didn't say anything more than you ruined a good thing, Stacy. I hope you know that before walking away. After 2 hours or so, the children came back and took a look around. Hey Jason, where's Mom? Michelle said, she moved out. I told her I'd take care of you too, and she could have visitation if you agreed to see her. Sorry, guys, but our marriage wasn't salvageable. Jason said, we love you, Dad. Are you okay? Michelle came over and hugged me. I pulled them nearer to me and said, no, but I will be with the help of you too. After 8 years, Michelle, Jason, and I were able to move past what Stacy had done to our family as time went on. The kids didn't want to spend any more time with her and would only let her stay for an hour or two every other weekend if they didn't have any games or other activities planned, and those weekends almost always seemed to be filled with something. I attempted to patch things up and get them to spend more time together, but as soon as Jason turned 18, he told her outright that she could burn in hell and that she was no longer his mother. Michelle essentially followed suit, which devastated Stacy. I felt bad for her for the first time in a very long time. After I spoke with Kevin again and told him that I would have Stacy file rape charges against him if he went after Michelle for assault, Kevin was discharged from the hospital and dropped all charges. He uses a cane to walk these days, and even with Viagra, it said he can't get it up. He must have spent a small fortune seeing a number of specialists, but as of the last I heard, he had been unsuccessful. Unfortunately. We did a DNA test at Michelle's request, and the results showed that she is, in fact, my daughter. We sobbed and held each other when we learned. We were both very happy. I wonder now, was the child that Stacy had aborted also mine? I'll carry that thought with me until the day I pass away. After a few years of living with her parents, Stacy secured a full-time job, moved out of state, and we lost contact. She does send Christmas and birthday cards to the children, but they never open them. Jason attended a prestigious university on a baseball scholarship, while Michelle pursued her nursing degree at a university. Both are in relationships and doing well academically. Michelle said she wanted a guy just like me, but Jason already had a steady girlfriend. She can do better than that, in my opinion. Years passed before I was able to start dating again, but I did eventually meet a lovely woman, and we now regularly hang out. I'm not in a rush to remarry and most likely won't. Although the pain persists, life moves on, and I experience it less and less every day. I'm grateful for my children. Kindly provide your opinions on the narrative and let us know in the comments section. Remember to subscribe, like, and share.